Yo, what up? What is this whole poll thing about annoying Hatch? Okay. Uh, eh. Except Ray got a different idea because he picked every single fucking day. I mean, Ray is pretty stupid, I will admit. Oh, are you doing your pacifist 2D? Okay. I did it on my phone and it was like lagging like shit, so I didn't know what you were doing. It didn't even show me anything. It didn't even told me the title, and I just typed in bees nuts to see if anything was working. I don't know how to do that on my phone. I never touched emojis. Not really, despite looking like one, I guess. See the really dumb message I sent you? Yes, yes. I'm not even joking. People are unironically playing this card in Edison. Okay, so you know what it does, right? Okay. If you control it, you contribute it, and then steal all level 3 or lower monsters your opponent currently controls permanently. That's just its effect. Its whole purpose is to just fuck over frog players. Yeah, people have been like putting this in their side decks because apparently like fishborg frogs is now like a thing. I've never heard of it before or seen it before, but I'm guessing the idea is that if they're doing that, you could steal their fishborg and frogs and then make like a water synchro, which I guess would be Bryonac, I guess. That could also work too. I don't know. I just know that fishborg can only be used for a water synchro to use this material. The funny thing. Yeah? Yeah, I'm looking at it. I muted it. Yeah? The masturbate? Joy. Yeah, I mean, like, I get it. It's just that it's been reused so many times, but I get it. Yeah. You're lucky that I called race stupid. I didn't realize because I could have said something else. Well, this works so well when Hatch did it. I'm sure it'll work even better who redacted. Okay. To be fair, it's only you two who makes polls. I am neither because there's no point to me to participate. Yeah, I just exist. I just exist and be a menace to whoever I pick and choose. Nah, it's not always just you. Yeah. Uh, to pretty much emphasize as to why, whenever I get bored, I get pissed. And whenever I get pissed, I think about ways to make myself not get pissed. And I was like, what's something that will make me funny, or make me laugh, or happy? And I was like, oh, I know, just make fun of someone. Bullying? Oh. I don't feel like I'm being a narcissist. I usually have a very cheerful nature, but then again, as I said, it all starts with me being bored. By me or by the video game? Are you going like around and around, or are you just going straight down? Jesus. I keep getting these fucking weird ass video. YouTube. Do you just like ever occasionally just get like some kind of weird video in your recommendation and then you just ignore it, but then the algorithm continues to forcefully show you that one particular video? Actually in college? Or not even in college. one, I don't think even... I don't even think this one just annoys me. It's just really strange. It's this YouTube channel called Mashed. Like, M-A-S-H-E-D. Just Mashed. And the videos I'm, like, seeing is just, like, Donkey Kong as, like, Joe Rogan, or, like, a parody of Joe Rogan, and just being Joe Rogan. I don't know how else to put this, other than just, like, him being a podcaster. It sounds really fucking weird. And I saw one of them, it was him talking with, like, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Shadow looked like he fucking got squashed in the head. It's a fucking weird shit. Talking about guns and shit. Dude, the most alien thing to me is school shootings. What is happening over there? Like, what drives you kids to be like, you know what? I'm gonna bring a gun to class and shoot up other kids my age. Like, what is this? Oh no. Right? Jesus. Right. I mean, both people kind of exaggerated it a bit. I mean, I've heard many stories of America with school shootings and then the UK with stabbings. And it's like, yeah, you say that every single day. You're making it sound like as if like this always happens. Yeah. God. Also completely unrelated, but I think it's a good thing. But you were muted this entire time on your stream. Yes, and that's probably for the better. Yeah, I was about to say is that they're probably hearing me, and it sounds like a lot of out of context shit, talking about shooting guns and stabbing. just, just the idea of them
Yep.
just hearing me.
That's funny.
Great, now I sound like the crazy one.
Yeah, you are. You're the crazy one. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Sorry, everyone. I don't know how I just didn't have chat open that entire time. It'd be like that. Professional streamer. I'm actually not at all professional. That's the point. Anyway, hi. How are you today? The run is going decent. Yeah, this is a summoner-only run. It is relatively difficult, but it's not the end. It's not impossible by any means. I've done something like this before.
It's also apparently the Pacifist Run.
Yeah, it is, because I'm not allowed to attack things. Like that. Shady Pineapple Cassette, how's it going? Quick Draw Dandy Warrior? Draw Dandy. So that was
Quick
fun.
draw these nuts. Go ahead.
Will, do you have anything to say about Quick Draw Dandy Warrior as a deck? We don't talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! That much while I'm doing streams, but I'm not opposed to it. This isn't like a one thing only stream, so.
It was... Well, I actually do kind of have a few things I can say about Quick Draw Dandy, or just Quick Draw in general. It was the first Edison deck I played, not because of like, oh, it was like, oh, it used to be the best one, like, or people used to think it was like 14 or 13 years ago or whatever it was. But it was more the fact that I believe that Quick Draw Dandy is probably one of the best starter decks to like teach new Edison players about like everything, about like, oh, how to synchro summon, how to keep card advantage, when you want to do this, when you want to do that. It's like how different it is from modern, where it's not just like, okay, here's like 5 or 6 cards and then try to vomit it all out as much as possible. It's not like that. If anything, I would best describe it as like playing a game of poker where you try to predict things. And then you think about that. Yeah. And you think of all the possibilities, and you think, what is the best strategy? Or what is the best way I could start things off? Or predicting what my opponent might have if I went second. Like, what is that face down monster? What is the face down back row? Could it be Mirror Force? Could it be Bottomless, Deep Prism? It could be any of these things. Is the face down a Raikou? Is it Plague Spitter? Or maybe Vayu even. It's really interesting. Edison as a whole was really interesting. In the moment when I recently discovered playing the deck and the game, my mind blew wide open. And I cracked a smile on my face when I played this game. Something I've never done in a long time, dude. I felt like I was having fun for once.
That's good.
Fun with this actual shit game.
Let's see, I gotta replant these. Alright, so chat, if you're wondering what this is right here, so this is what's called a alchemy table. It's a really good addition that they added, I think, in 1.3. Basically lets you craft potions and have a chance to not use a material. So you can see there, I made a potion without using up the fish. So that's all it is. It's a really nice addition. You can find them in the dungeon. It's very much worth having if you can find it. Anyways, speaking of what's worth having if I can find it, when I was down there last, I did see a bewitching table, which if you guys don't know what a bewitching table does, it gives you an extra summon, or an extra minion slot, which might not sound that important, but in a playthrough where my only damage option is my minions, it matters a lot. It matters a great deal. So,
because without it, you start off by like having like spiny armor or something like that.
Yep, I had armor made out of cactus, and my only way to damage enemies was to run into them physically.
I tackle them.
So I'm going to try to get back down to where I was at, which should be able to do just fine. It's not too hard. Darkcasters. I hate these Darkcasters. They're always here. Anyways.
Yeah, I guess another thing, I don't know if you saw, but there is like a team YCS, like a 3v3 happening in Los Angeles, or Las Vegas, or whatever.
They always have them in Las Vegas. I don't know why.
I know. And the other Bumboy server, Hatch and a few others, are talking about the last one. Do you remember what happened in the last one?
Uh, gosh. No, I can't remember. Wasn't it there? There was a controversy about it, wasn't it?
No, there was a shooting. There was
Oh.
a shooting next door to it.
Oh yeah, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, someone pulled the fire alarm. There was some type of like shooting next door to the YCS. And then there were a bunch of ambulances,
Interesting.
and they were just talking about that.
Yeah, I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
But luckily, I don't go to too
And you know what Konami said? He was like, we should go and make a Team YCS at Las Vegas again next year on March 15th to 16th, 2025.
That's interesting.
Yeah, after the last time with the shooting, it'll be like, yeah, that sure is good.
All right.
Yeah, there's some fucking weird shit, dude.
What, like in the game, or are you talking real life?
It, more so about like real life, of like how shit like this could just happen.
Yeah, it's strange for sure, but it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to say that you just learn to like live with it, because that's not how you should look at those things, right? Like ever.
I mean, I kind of just like lived through a hurricane, and I'm still kind of just like letting the moment sink in. The fact that I just kind of went through a very life-threatening situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like because like a lot of people don't like understand how large America is spread out. And I know coming from Canada, like it's like, well, our like land mass is larger, yeah, but there's more people in California than there is in all of Canada. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Tell that to Japan,
yeah,
tiny little island over there.
Japan is quite populated, so they have different issues though.
That is indeed true.
Alright, I'm gonna do this. I'm trying not to die here.
What is so special about fucking Cali, all the way on the other side of the United States? I'm literally on the opposite side, so everything that is happening over there, I don't know. I've heard something about forest fires, and that sounds scary.
Do we want a quick history lesson about California, chat?
Unfortunately, I think I'm the only person watching because I have the stream open.
That's okay. Anyway, all right, I'll give you a quick history lesson on California, just because it sounds like you want to know. All right, so California is a major place because a lot of rivers converge off of California's coast, which means it's very easy for seagoing vessels or seafaring vessels to both get in and out of the land mass. So that's why a lot of people just settled around California, because it's very, very easy to get in and out of that landmass. And because of that, a lot of people set up stuff around that area, like getting in and out, and those were ports. So that's why there's a lot of people in California, is because it was one of the first ports on that end of the country.
Right.
What influenced that even more was what's called the California Gold Rush, which gold was discovered in like San Francisco, like other parts of California, and people rushed there in droves to mine for gold. That was a thing that it genuinely like upended people and moved them across the continent. People went from New York and Massachusetts, Michigan, all that stuff, and they moved to California trying to capitalize on the gold. And that's why you have a lot of towns across certain landlines, because that's the path that those gold miners took, and then proceeded to settle down when they just decided to stop. Either somebody who is like the male, like the head of the family, who is going to do the gold panning, died on the way, and so they decided to stop and settle down where they were, or other reasons, right? Land masses, access to food and water, stuff like that. So that's why there is a high population in California, because everyone moved there looking for gold, and then that just kind of sort of happened. It also happens that California is one of the largest states electorally, which means that there's a bunch of votes for the presidency. So that's why it's a very big political ground, is because people who want to be elected as a president or as a high-ranking government official like that, they want to be recognized and favored in California. So that's just a very quick history lesson on why California is such an important state in the U.S.
Does size matter when it comes to voting?
It actually does. So in the United States, there's a government concept called electorates. So what electorates are, they are elected government officials that then go and vote on high-ranking positions, things like Congress, the Senate, things like the presidency, all that stuff, right? And the more electorates a state has is tied directly to the population and a couple of other factors. So the more electorates you have, the more votes you get in that. That's why a lot of the presidents that have become presidents were favored in massive electorate states like California and Ohio. Now, one thing you will note is that just because a state has few electorates doesn't mean that they don't have as much, if not more, power than high electorate states. States like Wyoming and Mississippi that only have like anywhere between they start at 3, because you have you have one Congress member and you have 2 Senate seats at least. So that's what every state gets to begin with. You get more Congress members depending on your population and stuff like that. And that's why when you look at like a presidential election, you see they're counting up to 270, because we have 530 something electorates in the United States. So you have to count up to that number before you secure the presidency. Anyway, going back to it, smaller states, their electorates have more power to balance it out. So states like Wyoming's vote, the 3 electorate votes from Wyoming actually matter significantly more than 3 electorate votes from California. So size does matter, yes.
Damn. This is the most educational Braun Bricks episode I've seen yet.
I was pretty good when it came to my American history class in high school, so...
I have a question.
Sure.
Didn't this cause a civil war at one point?
No, there was other factors contributing to the Civil War.
Because for some reason I had like some kind of recollection of hearing about how when they said that like size matters, I thought that there was like a moment where one of the Civil War's factors was that people of states, as you said, were complaining about how smaller states were smaller and then the bigger states were bigger, and that they accounted for having those higher numbers, and they weren't count equally.
There is something like that, but the Civil War was around a lot of factors. One of everybody's history teacher's favorite points to make is that the United States Civil War was not about slavery. It's just that it was made about slavery. So what that means is just it originally started over other things. I can't remember. There's not like one single factor that I remember, but it is like a lot of back and forth of like what is and isn't allowed. And slave states were usually one of the big button issues. But President Abraham Lincoln was famously quoted with saying, if he didn't have to end the war, or if he didn't have to do the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed slaves in America, he wouldn't have. And most people attribute that to him being a racist. No, it's just he didn't want to further divide the United States along a line. He didn't want to say, like, because this half of the United States supports slavery and this half of the other, this other half doesn't. By making the United States Civil War about slavery, it further widened the divide between the two sides and made it more difficult to unite them as under one united banner, essentially. That makes sense.
To be fair, under my eyes, it feels like America was always split in two.
Well, it has, but that's all. It's usually been because of just the fact of Americans are allowed to have different ideologies, ideological freedom, and they're allowed to express it. There's been
Land of the free. That's the land of the free for you.
yeah, there's only ever been two major times that I can think of that a vast majority of the United populace was on the same side. The first one is World War One, in which everyone was on the side of fighting in the war. It wasn't until after World War One that you have the United States populace grossly against war and conflict, and most of that is because a lot of families lost their sons, and for the few women that did serve, they also were affected. The only other time that I know of where everyone is genuinely together on a united front in America is the Cold War against Russia, in which we just didn't want Russia to be better than us, so to speak. So that was the only other time that I can think of in American history that everyone is just like on the same side about stuff. Otherwise, there's always people on one side of an issue and people on another.
The more I hear about the Russia, the more I feel like that they're like one of the, well, not the most, but one of the most like alienated places on Earth.
Yeah, it is, and it's mostly because of the not to make anybody in Russia upset. I doubt that there's any Russians watching my stream, but my understanding is just Russia has always been very secular in their ideas, and that's why they took so well to the ideas of communism.
Right.
Because they've been so secular in their ideas, they're resistant to change, and that causes them to be behind. And normally when countries are behind in technology, resources, anything like that, they tend to be very bitter and very secular. So, anyways.
Yeah, I think some of the citizens in Russia are also like very well aware of that,
Yeah.
which is like the saddest part of it all.
Yeah, but I mean, in
Like,
many...
yeah, our country is pretty incompetent when it comes to technology, as depressing as that is.
Yeah, I mean, and it's weird to say, and a lot of people deny this, but in that way, America and Russia are very, very similar. Both staunchly opposed to other ideas while enforcing their own, all that kind of stuff. It's not at all, like, you can see the similarities and the irony, and it's not at all lost on a lot of people, I feel.
I mean, the entire world is just irony at this point. It's like, how many layers of irony is there until it's no longer considered irony?
47. Okay.
Is that a reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide?
No, that's 42.
Oh. Where did 47 come from?
It popped out of my brain.
Okay. It would have been a lot more funnier if you said 42.
It would be. But I'm not that funny. I'm YouTube funny, not SNL funny. Speaking of which, I mentioned this like the other day. I never grew up watching SNL. Like, my family just didn't watch it. And I don't know if you watched it in Canada, Will, but I never did. So I was always just like, I didn't really care about anything that Saturday Night Live did. So anyway,
Right.
I don't know if you like did in Canada, did you guys have like access to American programs, or was it like a lot more the Canadian programs?
It depends on where you were.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you were like more closer to America, chances are you would have had access to a lot more American, like, shows, channels, commercials, stuff like that. But if you're like farther away, it's more like an entire different entity.
That's fair. See,
It's like take Quebec, for example, like the one place in Canada where people don't even speak English. Like, you could tell that we are very alien about America.
that's funny. See, And this was something that I thought of the other day, right? Because I recently, like a couple weeks ago, I stumbled upon a show from the UK called Taskmaster. That's a really funny game show. It genuinely is like quite entertaining. Um, but the thing I thought to myself is like, it's kind of very strange how there's hundreds, if not thousands, of television shows across the globe, and we, even though like in America we have, it's a joke of like, oh, hundreds of channels but nothing to watch, right? That's a very common joke here.
Right.
It's kind of weird how even though that's the case, there are like thousands of shows that we're just like unaware of all across the globe because they're not broadcast to us, either because they're not in our language or there's no networks that we receive signals from.
Right.
Like growing up, for example, the only programs that I saw that weren't American programs, right, was I knew of Top Gear because my dad watched Top Gear, the car show, and then I knew of like the David Attenborough and like British Broadcast Network like documentaries, like life science documentaries. That's the only thing that I was aware of from like other TV shows, and I was like, oh, like yeah, it's because we have Hollywood, like we just make all the shows, and it's like no, that's not true at all. That's the only ones that like we get on our TVs. So I don't know. That's kind of
There was like this one cartoon I once saw. I forgot what it was called, but there was like this one like German cartoon, and I'm not even making this up, but there was just this cartoon of like a man who had an incredibly long penis and uses it like a snake with like a mind of his own.
what the heck?
And when I mean by cartoon, I mean it was like very like childlike cartoon. It's like very childish. Like a hand drawn like early 2000s type style.
Like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon?
Yeah, it almost looked like that. And I remember sawing it once on YouTube, and it was about him going to the zoo and how his like fucking weird penis just moved like a snake around the zoo. And I was like, is this what fucking... And this is not like an old cartoon. From what I heard, this is like a rather new German cartoon. And I was like, what the fuck are you German people doing? What are you showing their kids?
Maybe we'll have to get Derek on here so he can defend German television.
Defend German entertainments.
Alright, well I'm fine just leaving the like all the all the gold that I lost. I'm just fine leaving it there. I don't care that much about it. I haven't done any of the fishing quests, so let's do those really quick. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Fucking hell. Now I'm thinking about finding that cartoon again.
Well, I'm not showing it on stream, that's for damn sure.
I'm not showing you. I'm not gonna let you show it on the stream. If I'll find it, I'll DM you it. And then maybe I'll DM Derek.
Just the words explain.
Yeah, explain this to me.
Explain how this is quality German entertainment.
Explain to me why this is a children's show. A children cartoon show. What if I just like looked up German snake penis cartoon?
That won't come back to bite you in your search history, I'm sure.
I was doing it on German. Or on YouTube. And all I get is a bunch of Family Guy clips.
Have you ever seen the Das is Good Family Guy clip? I fucking love that clip. It's so fucking funny.
I don't really watch Family Guy.
Aw, you're missing out.
Am I though?
You're missing out in the sense of like... I feel like if you're in America, you have to have a certain lack of IQ points to really enjoy it. And I feel like Family Guy just hits it right on the head for just like killing brain cells while like not making you think you're killing your brain cells.
I've seen like like the first seasons. I think I've seen like seasons 1 and 2 of Family Guy, which is a lot different from what I've heard from Modern,
It is, yeah. It's
which
a
was
lot.
actually pretty good.
Modern is a lot more political, yeah.
Yeah, I remembered that the older ones were actually really good, and apparently from some other people they said, yeah, they used to be good. But then they made Brian unlikable. And I was
They
like,
made
damn,
all
they're
the
kind of
characters
right.
unlikable. Brian became just like this snarky, hypocritic asshole. Um, Stewie went from like the evil baby to just like the Deus Ex Machina plot character. Chris went from like a relatable teenager with problems to just masturbation dot person. Um, Lois went from like the calm, sensible like matriarch of the family to just a literal whore. And then Peter just went from quirky guy who's doing the best he can for his family to just autistic, autistic, autistic.
Malicious autism.
Malicious autistic, like psychopathic tendencies, all that stuff. Doesn't make any sense why
I
that
like
was
how
the
you
progression.
purposely left out Meg.
Unironically, Meg has filled the same role the entire time. The comic relief character who's just like kind of frumpy. That's all she's been. There's very rarely been like Meg
Even in the
episodes.
older like series, they actually did kind of care for them, for
Mm-hmm.
Meg. They actually did genuinely care for Meg, but now I look at the newer ones and I was like, damn, she's just non-existent.
Yeah, it's like what can it's like the family's like just like what can we get away with that isn't something Child Protective Services would get called on us for?
What can we do that doesn't get us sued by The Simpsons?
Yeah. All right, come on, give me the fish.
Speaking of The Simpsons, they finally ended.
Did they actually?
Yes, they actually ended. As weird as that sounds, they actually ended The Simpsons.
I was never a Simpsons watcher. My family didn't. My parents didn't let me watch Simpsons growing up. My dad hated it, so we didn't watch it.
I watched it even at a young age.
Simpsons was just okay. Simpsons was like the show that the parents could relate to, so they let the kids watch it. But Family Guy was like the show that nobody related to and just tried to be funny, so people were just like, ew, no, child brain rot.
To be fair, the earlier seasons of The Simpsons were kind of like in a similar situation as the earlier seasons of Family Guy, where it was just good.
Mm-hmm. Come on. Give
And
me the
and then
fish.
like for Simpsons, I wouldn't want to say that they just became Family Guy, but they did like to use a lot of celebrities.
See, you know what I miss? I miss South Park. Like just copy pasting a photo of the actors and celebrities that they were parodying on top of like one of their body doubles, right? Like it I
South
kind
Park is
of
also something I watched.
yeah. I kind of don't like how modern South Park just like crudely draws celebrities, says they're the celebrity, and then it's like, okay, so that's just who that is now. I thought it was like the quirky funny thing where it's like, okay, we like none of us can draw, we can't animate really well, so let's just use a photo of like a literal cut out headshot of different celebrities and use that. And the only one and the way they like justified it or like made it like, oh, this explains it, is they were all characters from Canada because, as you know, this in South Park, Canadians are just floaty head people.
Yeah, they're like floating heads, and whenever they talk, their fucking whole entire like head just conjoins
Yeah, like say what you will
with
about it, but
beady eyes.
yeah, say what you will about it, but I do personally think the not you I like the buddy guy Flend thing, like that like trio of jokes. It's not good, but it is like just funny enough to be like, okay, it can be funny sometimes.
Is that how you think of Canadians
Yeah.
when you just look at those two?
Sorry, you're not my friend, buddy. You're not my buddy, guy. You're not your guy, friend. I'm not your friend, buddy.
I'm not your friend, buddy. You know what's funny? A Canadian cannot actually do a Canadian accent.
Why is that? I mean, is it? Are you saying that that's just how they talk, or what?
I know I'm saying that that's kind of an exaggerated tone.
I mean, I guess yeah. As like the Canadian, like even when I hear like Canadian content creators, right? It's like they never sound like the Canadian accents from American TV, where it's like that's what Canadian hospitality is all about, eh? Like I've never heard an actual Canadian like content creator sound like that.
Yeah. Although I do say a boat like a boat. But not like a boot, but like a boat.
Mhm. See, sometimes I catch myself with just like the twinge of a Minnesota accent, and I hate it. I hate it every second.
Do you watch YouTubers with Minnesotan accents?
I live in Minnesota, dude.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You forget Hatch and I are not only like the only reason I know Hatch is not because of, like some friend group or something, or like I went to high school with him. I actually live in the same state with it as him.
The crazy thing is that I always remembered that Hatch lives in Minnesota. I don't remember you living in Minnesota.
Yeah, I guess you just don't like me that much.
I mean, truth be told, we haven't even hanged out that much, and then I hanged out with Hatch for like years.
Yeah, but like anytime I'm streaming or like editing videos and you're just in chat, you just pop in. So it's kind of like that's the funny part.
It was mostly just me like making a comment to see if like the algorithm would pick up your thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I occasionally do make a comment on like your market watch or on your streams, and that was mostly just me being stupid, but also trying to get the algorithm going to pick up your stuff.
Which I
Which on
appreciate.
some occasions did kind of work.
Yeah, I think it does. When I get a lot of comments on a video, I do see like more engage. Like obviously, more engagement is like kind of this weird, like, double-sided metric where it's like, oh, if you're seeing it, it seems like you're getting a lot more engagement because you're seeing the comments. But it's like even after like I get a video with a lot of comments, the next one has like more viewers and more engagement. So
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think I made, I don't know which market watch, but it was one where I just like said a theory about like, oh, why are people buying cards even though that they were revealed in the tins? And I think now that video has like 5 or 6 people commenting. That's
yeah.
not including.
It's like the second you get you get a comment that's like a question or like a claim, not just like a, oh, I like this video, please make more. You know, you do just get like a skyrocket in views and engagement.
What made it, I think, extra interesting was that it was a really lengthy comment too. I made like a really lengthy, almost like essay format comment.
Yeah.
And that's mostly because of me doing my essays on college work.
I don't have the fish that it's getting me to catch. I'm gonna go back and make sure that I'm in the right place.
Fishing simulator. There's a mini game. There's a fishing mini game in Ultra Kill.
There it is. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Underground tundra. I hate this. I was fishing in the surface.
There was even a Crash Bandicoot reference in Ultra Kill. If you even played Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, see, I have. Sorry, I was just focusing on what to sell real quick. So fun fact, right? I had like remembered, like, deep core memory of a Crash Bandicoot video game that I played with as my brother, or not as my brother. I played
With your brother.
with my brother, yeah. And so the game was like this weird like hybrid racing game, and like it had racing elements, but it was more like a platformer, like explorer game, right? It was set in a theme park, and the only reason I remember this game is because there's like these characters that have like outfits or crystals or something like that, right, for you, and you talk to them and they give you the things. But the funny thing is, like, if you don't have like enough money to buy the outfits or enough like of something to buy like the story elements or something, right, they'll send you away. But I remember my brother just asking over and over and over and over and over again, and the character just finally gave in and just gave it to him. And I thought that was the most interesting, interactive, funny aspect of a video game I'd ever seen. And I spent years trying to figure out what game that was. And I finally figured it out. It was a game called Crash, I think it's Crash Tag Team Racing.
Tag Team Racing. Yeah, I was about to say, was it Crash Tag Team Racing? And I was like, I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't nitro fueled, that fucking
No.
like modern version of it.
No, it wasn't. And like I again, like as a kid, like I didn't really play a lot of video games. I mostly just watched my brother play it, and if there was multiplayer, I would help him with it, right? But as far as like that game goes, I remember it being like super interesting, super like colorful and engaging, and I really wanted to play it. But my brother either didn't want me to play it because like it was his game or something, or he told me like afterwards, like after he was like done like playing it, right? I would get to play it. And I mean like done with the whole game, not like done with that like session. And like I thought it was like a super interesting game. I wanted to play it, and I finally found it again and like watched the speed run. And the game is just as, if not more interesting than I remember, which is like super cool. Normally when you rewatch or like rediscover like those hidden memories, it turns out they weren't actually that good. But the game was super cool. I genuinely thought it was an interesting game watching the speed run and watching like a playthrough and an explanation of the story. So
To be fair, when we think very fondly over like our past, and we would be all like, "Oh, this used to have been so much better." It's mostly because of nostalgia. Like, let's be honest, it's the nostalgia
100%.
that made us believe that these things were better. But when you look back at them, and it was like, "Wow, this fucking sucked back then."
Yeah, like I'm not under the impression that like that game. I was never under the impression that it was like gonna win like game of the year, right? But as far as like games go, like it seemed really interesting as a kid, and I was like, oh, I wonder if it's like just as interesting, or it's like the Burger King racing game where it was like funny for like 2 days and then you never plugged it in again.
Burger King racing game. What
Have
the
you
fuck?
have you never heard of this?
No.
Oh, dude, I'm about to blow your mind. All right, so in the early 2000s, I'm talking like before I was even in like the first grade, early 2000s, video games were all the rage. The Xbox, the original Xbox, had come out. PlayStation 2 was like the best-selling console of the time, far beating the Atari and the GameCube that preceded it. And so Burger King ran a promotion with the people who owned Xbox. I'm not sure if it was still Microsoft at the time.
Burger King Pocket Bike Racer.
Yep.
Is this what I'm thinking it is?
Yep, it was a genuine video game that you could go into the store and purchase. I think it was either you had to pay like an amount for it, or if you like spent so much at the Burger King, you just got it free with your purchase.
Jesus Christ. It just shows the fucking
Yep.
King mascot on like this tiny ass bike.
Yep.
Or I don't know if it's tiny and it's just him freakishly large, but it
I
looks
remember their heads
comedic.
being like I do remember their heads being freakishly large, so that's a bit different.
Yeah, they do kind of have like that bobblehead energy to them.
But yeah, so anyway, so that was like that was a game that I remember my brother begging my mom to take him to Burger King so that he could get this game. Like literally begging. And that was the first and I think the last time we'd ever gone to a Burger King as a family. So yeah.
What a way to end it.
Yeah. So my brother begged my mom to go to Burger King and buy that game. We did, and we played it for like maybe 2 or 3 days, and then we were just kind of done with it afterwards. We just never played it again.
Damn, just like Burger King in real life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or what I'd like to call it, the Burger Rat.
I mean, to be fair, like, as far as I feel, right, Burger King was never actually that good of a location. Like it was just like
Oh no, I just called it that because every time when I went to a Burger King, which was exactly 2 times, there was a rat, a dead rat.
that's gross but funny.
The first one was in Canada, and the second one was in America. And in the America one, there was just a dead rat floating in the toilet.
I think it's funny that it was in the toilet, personally.
Yeah, it fucking drowned. Fucking drowned in that shit. Literally. It drowned in shit, Colin. That bastard tried to wriggle his way out, but he died in shit.
This is really getting you, isn't it?
Hell yeah, because fucking do you not know how we Canadians despise rats?
I actually didn't know this until recently that there are no rats in like a certain place in Canada.
Yeah, because we freaking hate them.
Like I remember I saw like a post on Reddit about this, right? And somebody was like, "Is this real?" And somebody responded like, "I lived in Canada and I thought rats were mythical creatures."
Yeah, no. There was literally a moment where someone had to call 911 that they had rats, and like like a police SWAT team came into the house, and they're like, "If you see a rat, shoot on sight," and they would fucking gun down rats.
That's
Just put a
crazy.
bullet in their heads.
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
Okay.
I fucking like saw some rats. They're fucking massive. The American rats are fucking massive. They're like the size of cats.
All right, so unironically, I'll tell you something that a lot of people don't know, right? So a lot of people think of rats and mice as the same thing. They're not.
They're not.
Mice are found, they're like in little fields. They're really tiny little things that are maybe only like 2 inches long. Rats can get upwards of like like if you exclude the tail, which is like another double its body length, you're looking at like 8 or 9 inches.
No. These things are fucking huge. And you always wondered why we hate them.
Oh, so okay, so but here's the thing, like America doesn't like rats. Like that is like a thing that I feel like
Then
needs
why
to be
don't you
stated.
get rid of them?
Do you, do you know how much Canada spends on rat control a year?
You don't need to remind me. But still. It's like the same reason as to why you Americans don't kill the Canadian geese that migrate to ya.
Oh, that there is actually a reason behind that. So because the U.S. and Canada share a border, we have what's called the United Conserved Animal
Yeah,
Pact or something
United
like that.
Conserving Animals or whatever that was
Yes,
called. Yeah.
something like that. And Canadian geese, since they're the national bird of Canada, are on that list. So the same way you guys don't kill bald eagles for us, we don't kill the geese for you. That's why.
Yeah, despite the fact that we both fucking hate them.
I mean, yeah, we both hate geese, but everybody loves bald eagles.
Yeah, except for the fact that you Americans lied about to them.
What do you mean?
Dude, they sound like fucking overgrown seagulls. You know, like how in movies where they try to make it sound like so epic and it has like a screeching call? No, in reality, it was just like some hawk's voice. Really, bald eagles just sound like overgrown seagulls.
I mean, like I've heard them. You're right. They don't sound like they do in movies. Those are usually hawks or different kinds of eagles.
Yeah, y'all did that because y'all were embarrassed by the fact that the bald eagles just sound like seagulls.
Look, just remember, if you don't know this, the when we were talking about our national bird, like when the country was being formed, right? There was two. It came down to two choices: the bald eagle, which obviously won, or the American turkey. So there is a world. There's a lot of worlds. There's a lot of like parallel worlds, right? In which Americans eat bald eagles on turkey or bald eagles on Thanksgiving.
On
And
Turkey
we-
Day.
Yeah, we so we eat eagles on Thanksgiving, and we celebrate turkeys on 4th of July.
You know what still amazes me?
What?
Y'all celebrate Thanksgiving on November.
Yeah, 'cause that's when it happened.
Not for me.
That's when the Pilgrims landed in America and had their first Thanksgiving was in November.
For us Canadians, Thanksgiving is October the 14th.
Weird, but okay.
Yeah, it's like a whole month ahead.
That's just kind of the same thing as like the New Year versus the Chinese New Year, though.
Oh, like the Chinese Lunar New Year or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all have yours on November the 28th. Ours is October the 14th. That is so bizarre to me. And it's not even just like me saying like, oh, ours is better because we get it earlier. It's more just like, why is ours different?
That's fair.
Like that's something I can't wrap my head around. And it sucks for me because I have both a Canadian and American family. Like my father's side Canadian, mother's side American. And I'm forced to attend to both sometimes.
So, okay, as somebody who attends both American and Canadian Thanksgiving, which one of us has better food?
Neither.
Really? You just think that? Are you saying it's equal, or are you saying you just hate all like the food in general?
Well, it's not that I fucking hate the food. It's just more like, how do I put this? It's just that there's too much. It's like I go to one Thanksgiving and then next month I go to another. And it's like, yeah, I'm good. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna get like fucking fat. I'm gonna look like an actual American if I do this.
I mean, that's fair, but to me, all that's saying is that all that's saying is just you do not appreciate the American all-you-can-eat buffet.
Do I ever told you the story about how I used to have been like an actual fat freak?
I don't think you have.
Okay, well, to summarize, I used to have been a fat freak. I'm talking like 320 pounds.
And see, it's funny to me because that used to be like an impressive, depressive number. Like Homer Simpson, the classic fat guy on TV, is only like 280. That was like a comedically high number when the show was created. And now you have shows where it's like 1,000-pound sisters, My 600-Pound Life, and not a single person on there is 600 pounds. They're all like 7 or even 8.
I know. Well, nowadays, I'm only around 260, so I have lost that weight over the years.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm not particularly a fat fuck. I might have the physique of Homer Simpson, but at least I'm not like a literal blob. At least I don't look like Nikocado Avocado Canadian edition.
Oh, that's funny. See, what is it? See, I'm not on, like, nowhere near. So I'm not, like, comparing. Like, you've definitely done way more work than I have, and you should be proud of that. But, like, I think between the start of 2022 and the end of, or, like, the middle of 2020, or, like, early 2023, right? I had gained around 20 pounds. I think it went from about 155, 160 to about 180. And I did manage to, over the course of about a month or so, lose about 10 pounds. And I do feel a lot better about my physique and my health because of that.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's surprisingly difficult.
It is fairly difficult. I will admit that. The reason why I was able to like lose so much of the weight was actually because of 2020, where it's like I had literally nothing to do. I lost my job as a pyrotechnic. I couldn't afford to live on my own in Quebec, so I was forced to move with relatives and family members in NC. And now I kind of just like live here now because now I have like new friends, a relationship, a girlfriend, and whatnot. And over that course, I kind of just like had the time to just lose that weight. But I have been relatively slow with that because I have heard losing it too quickly is actually a bad thing.
Yeah, it can be dangerous. Like for me, right? So like, okay, I know the truth of the
Yeah,
matter
especially for
is,
like the much more skinnier individuals, it can be really deadly.
yeah. But so like here's the thing, right? Is I will admit, I definitely grew up with fat phobic tendencies because my parents were overweight. And they know that. My dad always talked about how he wanted to lose weight. They always tried to diet and everything together, and it didn't work for my parents very well. Anyway, point is, um, I always thought it was just like a lack of effort or a lack of commitment type thing. I didn't think it was something that was actually like difficult or something that people have justifiable struggles with. So I'll admit, like, I'm not the best person because of that, right? I have since changed my tune now that I have gone and kind of walked the walk, so to speak, of like how much effort is it to lose 10 pounds actually. Let
You've experienced the experience of losing weight.
Yep. And I did have to go through a lot. It's like my actual like schedule and life changed entirely because I went from 3 meals a day, food prepping all the time, to intermittent fasting. So I wouldn't eat breakfast, I would eat lunch, I would eat dinner, and I had to manage how much I was eating. I was only allowed to eat about 15 to 1800 calories a day, and even then, like, it was hard to only eat that much. I know it's like American saying he's used to eating more food, but I was genuinely like used to eating closer to like two and a half thousand calories, somewhere between that a day. And it's like after you do that, it's like it makes sense why it can be difficult to change that, right?
Yeah.
So it was difficult for me to lose weight, and when I did, I was like, okay, yeah, it actually genuinely took me a month of eating less food, exercising fairly regularly, and like like denying myself like little pleasures in life, like, you know, a piece of chocolate, or an extra serving of like, you know, French fries or something like that with dinner. Um,
Right.
and it's like it did give me a good bit more empathy for people who are large and have trouble losing weight. So
Yeah,
anyway,
but with you losing like what was it, like 10 pounds over a month? Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. Uh, for me, as I said, I did say what my current weight is, right? I
yeah,
started
you
at
said
320. I said
320 to
320
260.
to 260. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty much a summary of like I lost 60 pounds over like the past few years as to now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that for you, you said, "Oh, I lose 10 in 1 month." I lost 60 in like what, like 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And while that is like a pretty drastic change, it does kind of show of how difficult it is to keep the momentum going. Because like you can start, the problem is that you have to keep going.
Yep. It's like
And
anyone
that
can
was kind of the
start.
thing. And it also had to do with the fact is like, 2020, 2021, worst fucking years in our life. All had like struggles in our own cases. And there was also that. And I guess to some extent, stress did kind of play a factor. It also does play a factor into weight to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
But despite all that, I was impressed with myself for sticking so long to reaching that result. And I'm not planning on completely stopping anytime soon. I would say that I have toned it down because we're back after this whole pandemic thing. I'm back to having a job. I'm doing college again after that whole period of me just trying to fix myself. But I'm not stopping completely. So it has slowed down a lot, but I'm still making my way to like reach a desirable goal.
Yeah, and I feel like there's really no problem with that, like, at all, right? Like, progress takes time, and it's like not everyone is gonna be able to do, weight loss all the time. It ebbs and flows. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, but you should be proud of yourself. Like, it is an accomplishment at the end of the day. It's difficult to lose weight. Not everyone can. Not everyone's able to. Not everyone's able to afford the time to lose weight, even if they want to and they have the conviction.
That's the biggest part right there. Time. We always feel like we never have enough to do whatever we want to do or what we want to do generally for ourselves or for our futures or for our children's futures. I don't know where this suddenly just came from of how we all feel like that we're just running out of time and that we're all so like far behind in our lives. And yet for some reason we all think that to ourselves. And we think of everyone else being like, oh, they're so ahead of time. They know exactly what they're doing. But we never think about the fact that they are thinking the same way that we are thinking.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, it's difficult because I work in a building where a lot of the people are significantly older than me. Like, to a point in which they are, most of the people I know are like within retirement age. They're like my coworkers. Most of my coworkers are within retirement age, and it's almost frustrating to me sometimes when I do encounter somebody who like comes to us and says like, "Oh, like why are you guys like I don't understand like why my son or like you are like struggling to like own a house. I owned a house at your age, or you know anything like that." That's just one of the easiest examples is like home ownership, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand why they do that, where they say like, "Oh, I don't understand," when there is literally just no blueprint for our generation. Like our parents and our parents' parents, it was pretty much the same for like hundreds of years. Like, you just did what your parents did, maybe just slightly different.
Yeah, it was like almost scripted in a way.
Yeah, but for us, there not only is there no blueprint, there's no experience, right? It's not nobody like you could say like millennials kind of did what Gen Z is going through as like a Gen Z person myself. It's like I could reasonably that is something you could say, right? But I don't think that like they haven't finished yet. Like Gen Z is only now starting to like have kids and like consider long-term things. So
Yeah, and it didn't help the fact that we just like kind of went through a pandemic through the middle of like teenage to young adult years to like Gen Alpha as like little fetuses trying to. I wouldn't say that they were able to comprehend the pandemic, but they probably weren't aware that they just lived through it.
yeah.
And that was a huge like sinkhole to the lackluster script or blueprint that we had to begin with. If there was ever any to begin with, that is.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Come on. Have I not caught that yet?
Are you still catching that fish?
I'm trying to catch fish, but I'm also trying to get another summoning weapon. It's one that's pretty bad. It's not better than my current one, but it's one that I do feel like I should try and get before getting too far into the game. Come on, please.
Fishing simulator. What is even the end goal?
So the end goal is to. So I have these boots that make me run really, really fast. And I can upgrade them to let me run about 15% faster, which I think will matter for the final boss that I have to beat before the next chapter of the game. The problem is the item that I'm missing that lets me run at that speed is an item that you get at the beginning of the game, and it just naturally generates in your world. There's a limited quantity. And my world, at least from what I've seen, has 0. The only way to get them otherwise is from these wooden crates that I'm opening, or that I'm fishing up and opening. So I'm trying to fish up, that item so that I can get that before I start planning for the end game boss of this, the end game boss of the first half of this game.
The hell is the end game boss?
So the end game boss is what's called the Wall of Flesh. It is a boss in hell. Yes, there is hell in this game. Kind of cool. It is a giant living being that scrolls across your screen and basically turns the game that I am currently playing into a reverse Mario side scroller. And so because it moves towards you constantly and it splits off your world and only makes it so you can access a certain amount of it, you need to be able to move backwards the entire time. And because of that, you need to be able to run quick enough to escape the boss at its like final point when it's the fastest.
It's so fucking stupid.
It is,
I
but
went
it's a really interesting boss. It really is. I
Well,
hate to say
both
it.
that and me, because I tried to Google it and I just realized I just Googled brown bricks wall of flesh and the Google results just showed bricks. Like brick walls.
Yeah, that is stupid. You did that to yourself.
I know. I just saw the brown bricks subconsciously. And I don't even know what was dumber. The fact that the search result just showed images of bricked walls, or the fact I subconsciously typed in brown brick wall of flesh.
Sounds
But
like
no, I
you're a
see
little
the
bricked
actual
up, yeah.
But yeah, I see the actual wall of flesh. It's a fucking weird looking thing.
It is, yeah. I won't say it isn't, but it is. It's a thing.
Giant eyeballs
Yep, the Eye of
and like a
Cthulhu.
weird like insect like mouth or appendage. I don't know what you want to call those.
Yep, the Eye of Cthulhu is a boss. It's a boss of all time. Where was I
That's what
fishing?
it's called. That's what the wall of flesh is called.
What do you mean?
That's what it's called. The Eye of Cthulhu.
Yep. Hmm.
Oh, it's this thing. I've seen this thing a lot.
Yeah. So the wall of flesh is called the wall of flesh, and the Eye of Cthulhu is a different thing. But they're both bosses in this game.
Weird.
It is. It is kind of weird. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie to you. It's a little weird. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the beach and well, yeah, do this.
I wish I was back at the beach. Well, I technically am on a beach to some extent. I wish I was back on that one island I was on with for my vacation.
Oh yeah, where'd you go?
Uh, I went to a place called the Emerald Isles. They're just
Oh,
like these
okay,
tiny
that's good.
yeah, they're like these tiny islands on like the side of NC. I never been to any of them before. It was really nice.
That sounds nice.
It was. I was there with my girlfriends. We had a good time, and then we fucked.
Dude, I'm on stream. Don't say that.
Don't worry. What else was there? They had an aquarium, which was really cool. I never actually went to an aquarium before.
Never been to an aquarium. It's funny.
No.
I go to aquariums all the time. Half because I'm a marine biologist, but half because I do think they're actually interesting.
The first time I went there, I was like, damn, this is actually kind of interesting to see various fishes
Hmm.
and like other like sea creatures.
If you're ever in Chicago, it's a little expensive, but go to the Shed Aquarium. It's a really, really cool place.
The Shad Aquarium?
Shed, S-H-E-D. It's
Oh.
one of the biggest, not the biggest. I know the biggest one is the Georgia Aquarium. No, is it the Georgia Aquarium or is it the San Francisco Aquarium? I think it's the Georgia Aquarium. Anyway, I know that there are bigger aquariums in the world, but it's one of the biggest in the world. Definitely the biggest in the Midwest. So it's neat.
Jesus.
It's cool.
I'm looking up images of it on Google, and it's like, yeah, this looks not only cool, but also very fucking expensive.
It is, but it is like a public place. Like it's an aquarium. Like it's like a zoo. So it's zoo expensive.
Okay, it might not be that bad then.
No,
I went to a zoo before.
like I think you can look up ticket prices, but it's like I want to say like 25, $30 a person, maybe like 35. Maybe. And that's just because of inflation.
Have you ever had like zoo experiences? Like I had like quite possibly some of the most fucked up zoo experiences I ever had.
Well, I went to
And
zoos all the time, but yeah.
fucked up as in I may or may not be able to say this on stream.
Ah, yeah, then don't.
Yeah, I'll tell you later if you're still interested.
Um, but yeah, no, I went to zoos all the time as a kid, either for like school trips or for just like fun. Like when I was 18, or yeah, when I was yeah, I was 18. I actually went to Michigan for the trap shooting nationals. I did trap shooting in high school and I was actually kind of decent at it. So I went to the national tournament, lost really badly, but while we were there, my mom and I, because my mom's the one who drove me up, and she went with me. My mom and I just went to the zoo there. We were like, oh, what should we do? Well, we could go to the zoo. It's like, sure, let's go to the zoo.
Right.
So anyway, can I please get an aglet? I just need it.
Actually, I do kind of have a funny, not inappropriate zoo story,
Okay.
and it involves me getting drunk. So, I was like 18 years old, and for all you Americans, the drinking age in Canada is either 18 or 19, depending on the place. And for Quebec, it's 18. So, suck it up. Uh, I went with a friend where we went to a zoo, and we were kind of like we kind of did like drink, but it didn't like hit us when we went to the zoo. It only hit us right after we were inside the zoo, and we were fucking wasted out of it. To not give out specific locations as to which zoo this was, to put it simply, there was this how do I want to put this? We had like a bridge, you know? It's like a bridge, and below it there's like a lake
Mm-hmm.
where you could just like see like all various types of like aquatic creatures and whatnot. And in this zoo, uh, you could optionally, for additional price, have a ticket to go onto this like tiny boat cruise thing where you can like get a closer look at some of the animals and whatnot. And me and this friend, we were just like looking down at from the bridge, just seeing the people cross through across the bridge through the lake. And then we fucking threw up and hit directly to a child on that boat. And we freaked out when we realized what we just done, and then we just fucking ran out of that zoo. we ran like our lives depended on it.
Jesus. Okay.
There may or may not be a chance that they saw our faces, or like the zoo employees or the workers there. And if they did, we may or may not be like blacklisted or banned from that zoo. uh, we were fucked up back then.
Seems like it.
But that's the thing. It's like it's funny because we were dumb back then, and we look back on it and it's like, wow, why was I thinking? What was I thinking back then? That was back when I finally like get to experience like actual alcohol, and I was like, damn, this shit rocks. And I was like, but nowadays I'm like, yeah, I'll drink, but only with friends. Only with like an actual group of friends, and it's just not me dilly-dallying to like some location being a menace.
See, I do drink, just not in public. Like so, and if I do drink in
Not even
public,
with friends.
yeah. So if I do drink in public, I'll only drink if I know I'm not the one driving. Um, because I have no sympathy for drunk driving. Like I think there is no sympathy for it. I think if you drive drunk, you're just one of the stupidest people alive.
Yeah, it was pretty dumb.
So yeah, so that's that's where I'm at on that, and because of that, there's kind of just a byproduct of like, I don't want to be in the position to cause somebody the type of pain that I know is caused by drunk driving, either personally, interpersonally, or like as a stranger, right?
Even if it wasn't drunk driving, driving in general is just scary, even dangerous.
Yeah, it is. It definitely can be. So,
Dude, the
anyways,
scariest thing is when you hear the fucking high schoolers start getting their license, and I'm like, oh dear God. Because like every I don't know if this like happens to you, but there is like this high school nearby as to where I currently live, and like every so often there'll just be like this like waves, like these waves of high school students who finally got their license, and I was like, oh God, prepare. This is a bad omen. This is a sign that something bad is going to happen, and for the most part, something bad does happen. It doesn't result in death, thankfully, but something bad did happen, and it resulted in one of those damn fucking kids driving. And it's not even about them like drunk driving. It's just them driving generally. It's terrifying.
yeah.
Like two of the most terrifying things that you could find is like a high schooler driving behind the wheel, and like a very old individual driving behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are some of the most scariest things ever, and that is kind of the reason why for the longest time I still don't even have a driving license.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Instead, I have a friend whose father is an Uber driver, and I could always call him instead of Uber to get me places, or I could just yell at my girlfriend.
See, I didn't have that well, I had that luxury for a while, because I lived with somebody who had a car. I had my own license, obviously, but I lived with somebody
Right.
who had a car, and I was allowed to use theirs. But yeah, long story short, about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago now, that ended, and I had to get my own car. So it's like I couldn't rely on other people anymore. I couldn't carpool to work. I couldn't rely on people to take me places or go with me to do things. Shit. Oh my God. I was like barely got that, by the way.
Damn. Yeah.
Um. So yeah. I've had a similar experience, not the same, but I know what you're talking about with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It really was mostly prevalent to like my early days of living in NC. Like this is like 2020 era where I kind of just like I knew people in NC. I actually had friends there. Because I actually had like many contacts across many people across like America and whatnot. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be going to NC because I'm moving to my grandmother's because I can't live by myself anymore because of this damn pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, cool. And I'm going to be living around here, so I will be fairly close by. And then there was just kind of this result of me, for the most part, living with my grandmothers, and then occasionally kind of just like freeloadering over my friends' houses and just falling asleep on their couches.
See, in America, we just call that couch surfing.
Well, I guess I was an expert in couch surfing. I was a couch surfer.
Seems like it.
But
Nothing wrong
nowadays,
with
it's
it.
kind of me just going back and forth to like either staying at my grandmother's or staying at my girlfriend's sister's house because my girlfriend doesn't actually own the house.
Mm.
Yeah, it's usually her and her sister, but she's cool. I actually like her. She's very kind.
Well, that's nice. It's always nice when you have your partner's family doesn't mind you.
Yeah. Everybody seems to like me, except for her brother. But that's probably just because boy meets other boy. You know what I mean? Like, you see your daughter, or not your daughter, you see your sister, your younger sister, dating someone, and it's like you're like the man in the house besides your father, and you want to be like, I care about my sister. I want you to be like the best person. And I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, man. Yeah, I get it. But he probably doesn't see me that way, considering of what I do.
Mhm.
Like, I will admit, working at a grocery store is probably not the most appealing thing, especially since I've been doing this for the past 4 years now. Like, it's nowhere near as exciting as like being a pyrotechnic back in Quebec. But that dream has shipped and sailed. I don't know if I'm ever going to come back to there. But to be fair, if I continue being a pyrotechnic, I would lose more fingers than I already have, which was 0.
Yeah, I'm
If that,
sorry. I missed the ocean crate. I missed the special crate. In my defense, graham crackers are good.
oh, are we allowed to say that?
What?
I guess we are. Okay then.
We're allowed to
I,
what?
I, uh, graham crackers.
What about them?
Didn't YouTube said something about being offended by that?
I don't know.
Maybe it was a Twitch thing. Maybe it was a Twitch thing. I don't know. They're both Twitch and YouTube are like so. They're so very strict and very sensitive about certain words.
Well, graham
It's
crackers
like
not a
even
brand. It's just a thing.
yeah, that's the thing. But people kind of like use that word as like an insult.
Oh, that's really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, if YouTube gets mad about me saying graham cracker while I'm eating graham crackers, honey made graham crackers, then that sounds like a them problem.
It is. It's just really funny that you just keep saying it. It's so funny. I hope to God it's a Twitch thing. Let's be honest. Twitch really isn't any better when it comes to streaming.
I mean, there's a reason I stream on YouTube. I don't want to deal with Twitch.
I mean, to be fair, it's probably the smartest move for you since this is your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense for you to stream on YouTube alongside your YouTube channel.
Oh, thank God, I don't have to fish anymore.
Oh, you finally found it?
Yep, I finally got the thing that I was missing.
Yay, you found the fish, everyone.
I did, in fact.
Jesus Christ.
Alright. We're gonna go make this shit, and then we're gonna... Oh, excuse me, I might sneeze. Oh, we're gonna make the boots that I've been wanting, and then I think I'm gonna call the stream, because I've been streaming for just under 2 hours. I didn't want to stream super long tonight because I do have some things I may or may not be doing in the morning, so hopefully everyone enjoyed.
Which may or may not be editing a video.
May or may not be. There's other things that I do need to do.
Oh yeah, like work.
No, I don't work on the weekends, luckily.
Oh. I wish I could say the same.
Well, I mean, like, I hate to say it, but that's just... It's one of the weird not perks about working an office job.
Well, for me, for example, it's like occasionally, I wouldn't say I'm like completely off on the weekends. It would be more like, okay, I work Saturday, but I don't work Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense. And
No, it does.
every once in a while, my days off either like increase, decrease, and or be in a different day. It's like scattered all over the place. Because as of right now, we're kind of like having this like weird like labor issue where the place I'm working at is like currently not having enough money for whatever reason, and now they're cutting everyone's hours, including mine.
Mm-hmm.
And now there was just this moment where I was like, okay, you get like 3 days off. You get Sunday, Monday, and Thursday off. And I was like, okay. Okay,
Yeah, no,
then.
I do know how that is because I used to work a job. It wasn't retail or like anything like that. It was just it was at a health clinic of sorts. Anyway, yeah, I hated when they ping ponged us around on schedule. It was one of the things that actually made me quit because I was like, I told them when I was hired, I want a consistent schedule, um, and I think that they took that to mean like I want consistent hours, like I want to be clocking the same number of hours every week.
Uh,
When
yeah.
that's not at all what I meant. I meant that I want consistently like 9 to 5, um, Monday through Friday, right? I wanted that consistency, and they wouldn't give me that. And I was like, okay, well, if you're not going to give me what I'm asking for or what I asked for in my interview, then I'm not going to give you what you asked for, you know?
Did you say specifically like 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, or did you just said consistent schedule?
I said the only, like, when they asked me, like, do you have any questions? Is there anything we want you to know? I was like, yes, the only thing I want is I want a consistent schedule. I can't do, I think I said something to the effect of, like, I can't do random times and days, you know? So I understand, like, what I said maybe more than likely could have been misconstrued as the other thing, but
Yeah, that was the thing. It's like you were specific, but at the same time you weren't specific enough, which
yeah,
is probably why it is. It's like I wouldn't say it was completely their fault. It could be a part of you. It could have been like both of them not fully understanding. There was
yeah.
just like a huge communication.
Yeah, but the thing is, when I turned around and I did explain after a while because I asked like, hey, why am I? This isn't what I asked for. Um, they didn't change anything, so it's like, and there's a ton of reasons I left. One of them was they kept saying they would hire somebody to help fill the gaps in the schedule, so I wouldn't have to work these weird days. And months of me asking, begging, like pleading practically, they didn't. And then when I finally quit, I found out they hired 2 new people right away. Right?
Damn.
It's like there was just not a workplace of they didn't actually care about you as an employee. They just cared about you as a number. And I couldn't take that.
Yeah, that
I
usually happens with some people or some places.
Yeah. Well, it's just
They kind of do that.
yeah, and I'm not trying to be like a oh boo-hoo millennial, right? It's literally just like I asked for one thing, there was a misunderstanding, or if there may or may not have been a misunderstanding, but when I clarified, they said they would help and they refused. They lied. That's enough for me in my opinion. So,
Yeah, it would be like that.
let me do
There
this.
was one thing that I did say that was consistent throughout the 4 years I've been working here,
What's that?
and that I never work on Thursdays.
No, that's good. Having a day that you don't do shit is always nice.
Yeah, it's mostly better for me because there was a moment where I was like, okay, I do actually want less hours, not because I want to be a lazy fuck, but because I'm doing college work.
Yeah.
Stop putting me on full time, put me back down on part time, despite the fact that I'm one of the managers.
Hey, Wolfen,
It's
how's
like,
it going?
look, despite the fact that I am one of the managers, I do need less hours for personal reasons. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
With that said, I did technically get what I wanted. I don't know if it was actually because of me demanding or it was because of the labor issues, but in the end, I did get what I wanted.
That's good.
And I'm struggling to imagine of what it will be like if I just vanished from that store. Those people are going to lose their shit when I finally vanish.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Because believe me, the moment I get that business degree, I'm out of there.
Wolfen, you're
I
doing
will,
pretty good? That's good. I'm doing halfway decent myself. Glad it's Friday. Not happy it's almost Saturday.
Wait, what's happening on Saturday? You just work?
No, I don't work. I don't want it to not be the weekend.
Oh.
I want it to just stay the weekend forever because then I don't have to do shit.
I could just sit here and be stupid.
No! Ah, fuck!
Did you die?
No, I didn't die. It's just so I've been crafting and recrafting, uncrafting and recrafting these boots that I told you that's what I was working on, right?
Yeah.
And I got the enhancement that I wanted on it, which was +4 to my defense stat. And
then you uncrafted it.
Yep, I did.
Button basher.
Come on.
That's what we call button bashers.
Fuck you. I'm gonna say the name of the enchantment each time, that way I don't do it on accident. Rash. We're looking for warding, chat. Warding. Armor. That's pretty good. But not what I want. So how do you do a pacifist run? Do you just use Aikido or whatever? Those energy materials are the material arts scanners use? What? No, so a pacifist run in Terraria is it's a pretty simple concept. So there are these things called summons. You can see some behind me here. They do damage on behalf of the player. Normally people combine them with something like a ranged class or a magical class. But back in mid-teens, when I started playing this game, there weren't any other ways for summoners to do damage. There weren't other weapons that deal summon damage or anything. So if you wanted to do a summoner playthrough, you had to just use the minions. And it was actually very difficult because the summoner class was not well supported. So yeah, so it's a summoner class playthrough, and I'm not allowed to use things like whips or any weapon that would deal additional summon damage. Like I can't use warding. Nice. I can't use guns. I can't use magic. I can't use other things to deal damage. So it's just my minions. So yeah, so that's what it is. Hey, you did the blood type B. Nice job.
Yeah, I finally did the correct thing.
Alright,
I like to imagine that Wolfen does not know that was me.
That would be
just
very
typed
funny.
in these nuts.
Yeah, so it is just, so I'm not allowed to do damage, I'm not allowed to hit things, so when I'm fighting a boss, I have to focus on dodging and evasion. And just so we're aware. No, it's not traps and stuff. It's
to
not.
be fair, you did start off with you just having like thorn armor and just you like tackling motherfuckers like crazy.
Yep. So Wolfen, the way I got my first summon weapon, and how I traversed the world dealing with the enemies was I wore cactus armor and I had to run into them to deal thorns damage.
It was really funny to watch it in the beginning.
It was like 2+ hours of just me running into things to kill them.
And you ultimately dying a lot too.
Yep. There's a couple graveyards around the world because of what I had to do.
Just a cemetery of just Colin clones.
Oh.
Each one of them just wearing that dumb armor. Are you able to bring them back to life?
What do you mean?
Can you bring back, like, your dead past selves?
No, you can't.
And
There's no
just do whatever
necromancy
them?
in this game or anything like that, yeah.
Damn. Are there any cornflakes in this game?
You asked this last time and I don't get the joke.
Wait, did I?
Yeah, you did. There's no
Damn
corn.
it.
There's no corn flakes. There's a candy corn gun.
Oh yeah, there was the candy corn like rocket launcher thing I saw.
Hmm.
Also, that wasn't a joke. It's just me just being stupid. I've always like asked this like ever since very very early Minecraft days where my friends was like, "Hey, there's this mod where you could just have cornflakes as an item in Minecraft." And all it was is that it's just this item and then you just eat it. There's like nothing special about it, and I was like, damn, this game has cornflakes, 10 out of 10. And I made it like this ever long joke where where someone asked me like, hey, why don't you play this game? And I'll say, does it have cornflakes in it? And if they
So,
say no, I'll say 0 out of 10 game.
so what I'm hearing you say is that you have no new material. That you've just been doing the same thing over and over again.
To be fair, I do have new materials. One of them was indirectly gaslighting you. That was a new trick. The silence is perfect agreement.
I don't know what you'd be gaslighting me on, though. That's the thing.
The fucking trap monster thing on that one episode.
Oh, that. Yeah, fuck you for that.
Yeah. The thing was that I never actually told you to do it. It just popped into your head.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just indirectly encourage you to do that.
Indirectly, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Indirectly.
You say so. No, there's nothing else I can do. Alright, well, chat, frosted or not frosted? Ask him if the cornflakes were frosted or not. Were the cornflakes in Minecraft frosted or not?
Oh,
Were they frosted
that's a
flakes
good,
or were they just, like, flakes?
that's a good question actually. I need to find that mod again. I need to find that mod again to figure out if it was. It might have been Frosted Flakes.
Wolfen, why'd you send him on a tangent?
Right at the end of the stream too. I'm not going to be able to get away from this. Hold on. You know what? Fuck it. I'll look it up right now.
Yep. So, chat. The next thing we're gonna do after, or the next part of the stream, which isn't gonna be tonight. We're gonna cut stream here for now because we're almost at 2 hours, and I'm gonna eat some food and then probably go to bed. Because I can. Oh, yeah. I guess because you can't, huh? Anyway, so we're gonna go. The next part of the stream is going to be building a elevator. So going through, clearing out all the houses, and setting up a nice big bridge for us to fight the Wall of Flesh on. I want to try and first try the Wall of Flesh. Wolfen, in case you haven't been part of the streams, because I don't think you have, I think this is the first time I've seen you chatting. I have first tried every boss except for the Brain of Cthulhu. That's the third boss in the progression. And the only reason I did that is because I just wanted to try it. I just want to see if I could do it. I wasn't actually very prepared. So I'm trying to first try every boss I can. So that's what we got to do for the Wall of Flesh. We're going to need to clear out all these houses and build a bridge. And I'm going to build a pretty long one because I do want to actually try and beat the wall first try. So
I can't find it, but I found someone mentioning a mod about something called the Cornflakes Homunculus.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but that's the closest thing I found. I don't know if I could find that fucking mod again. I'm gonna assume that they were Frosted Flakes, because it would be extra funny if it was. No, I don't want a fucking YouTube video of it. The fucking cereal brands, you stupid thing.
So Wolfen, you had the question: do bee nades count? So the bees themselves don't, right? Because I'm wearing a stinger necklace, so that summons bees whenever I take damage. So the bees themselves don't. However, the explosion from the grenades does count as me doing damage. So I would have to like very very carefully time out the grenade throws, so that I didn't accidentally uh, hit the wrong hit the wall, essentially.
Be nuts.
Okay, it's almost there.
I'm sorry. I'm getting bored again.
Well,
You know what that means.
luckily for you, the stream's ending here in a bit. So
Thank
one of the tricks that I'm going to use to fight the wall of flesh is I'm going to use these. Most people know about these. So these planter boxes, they can be bought for 1 silver a piece. They're basically just platforms, but the nice thing about them is you can't place them diagonally, because for the wall, yep, B-nades do damage when they explode. Um, B-nades do damage when they explode on things. It's just the bees do more damage, so most people don't think about that. But anyway, so we're going to use the planter boxes because they can't be placed diagonally. We can place them just like platforms automatically, but they won't mess up if we accidentally run into something or we walk up a block. They won't be weird. So that's nice. So I'm actually gonna buy a crap ton of them. Probably gonna spend a couple gold on this. There we go. That's 1,000. That'll be enough for right now. So that's how we're going to build our wall flesh arena in the next stream. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. If you really enjoyed and you don't want to miss out on another stream, click that subscribe button. But I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.
Laters.